Okay, Wendy here, and I am going to attempt to show you how to make a Boffer short sword. And here is a 1/2 inch piece of PVC piping that I got at Home Hardware, which I wouldn't recommend going there. I would go to Home Depot. Probably that's where I'm going to go anyway. And you want 1/2 inch for a sword. Otherwise it's going to be too whippy, so it's important that you get 1/2 inch. I don't know if you can see that there. It says 1/2 inch. So 1/2 inch PVC. So I'm going to cut. What I did was I measured. The entire weapon should be a short sword should be no less than 24 inches long. So I cut my beams at about 22 inches all the way across. I did actually some marks. There's another. No, that's not one. There's a mark. So, and I had one for a long sword, which I will talk about later. So we're going to do short swords. So I'm going to do is just continue cutting that, and that's pretty much all I'm going to do right this second. So yeah, I'm going to continue cutting that and show you what happens from there. Oh yeah. Okay, once you have your pieces cut, you're going to work on your foam. You want a piece of foam that goes over the tip of your PVC piping. So one end is going to be the hilt, and we're also going to put a tip on that end, and we're going to put a little piece of foam on that end. But first we're going to do the blade. So the blade needs to come over the PVC piping just a little bit, and I'll show you that. Okay, so I have my foam here how I like it. So again, the foam is overlapping the PVC piping. We're actually going to probably tape a penny, which we usually do, which is great because we don't use them anymore as currency in Canada. So you can just put a penny over top of that, but I'll talk about that after. Don't worry, get ahead of myself. So right now we're figuring out how long we want our blade, and how I figured that out was basically just holding it. There's no real science to this one or rules. I'm just holding it, and where my hand is right now is where I'm going to want my handle, and I'm actually going to cut right above my hand. Here, let me see if I can just put the camera down. Oh, sorry. This is like real. Okay, so I'm just going to like probably cut it about there. And you can see I have some over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this right there, and I'll show you what it's going to look like after, and then what I'm going to do after that. So just to give you a full, cutting it right over my hand. I want the handle to be the size of an average hand. Most of my swords are actually made a little small. So they'll be the size of an average sword hand. And we'll see what it looks like in a second. Okay, so now we have got our foam foam cut. And I've also taped the end with duct tape. And I didn't need a penny. I just decided to just tape the end there. It should be just fine. I did both sides, both ends. Now this is going to sit like this. So again, we're going to have that overlap. We're going to stuff some foam inside, secure both ends, and I'll show you what that looks like after. Okay. Before I forget, before I secure it, you have to put double-sided tape. I've actually already done one piece, and it's going to, when I pull this piece off, it'll be sticky, and when I pull this around, it will stick perfect, and there'll be no moving. This, I'm going to do all the way across, all the way down. So just like, you know, one, if you could see it, one there, and then probably one here, probably like maybe 4 or 5. So I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so I have actually used 3 pieces the blade and one piece on the hilt or on the end. So I will show you how it looks secured with the foam over top on both the hilt and the blade. Okay, so I know there's a gap, but that's okay because it's going to be covered by another piece of foam. I don't usually like a gap, but this is fine. It really is. After 20 years of LARPing, I could safely say I would totally do that. So the tape is stuck. You ideally should not have a gap. It should fit nice. So if you wanted, you could easily put just another strip of foam in there, and I would definitely agree with that. But the way I'm going to do it, because I've been doing it for so long, I could definitely deal without it. So maybe put a strip down there, fill it in, and then see the bottom is done too. Look at our hilt, our handle. Again, there is an overlap. You see how there's a gap between the foam and the end of the PVC piping? That is important. We're going to stuff some foam up in there and just make it level. So I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so here it is all stuffed with foam. It'll be even when we tape it. So what we're going to do now is add the second blade layer, and actually this layer too. It just makes it for a safer weapon. This is not, if you get hit with this it might still hurt, so we'll do the second layer, one for the blade and one for the hilt. Be back. Okay, so now we have what looks sort of like a sword. Okay, well with no tip, and that's dangerous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, we're not going to do anything further. We're going to do the tip and the hilt, but this is the handle. But we're going to have like a fancy, or, you know, sort of, I don't want to say fancy, but a hilt that will go right above my hand so that it will kind of come out, you know, like a sword. And this will have a tip, and that will have a tip, and then we'll put all the tape on, and yay! So you can see it's actually not that hard. Especially if you're probably listening to someone else explain it. Hope I helped at least. So anyways, we will continue, and next I'm going to get the tips ready. So I'll show you what I'm going to do for the tips. That's these tips. Okay. Okay, so now we come to the tip part. I've already done one, and then I'm going to do one like somewhat in front of you so you can see what I'm doing. You want it to be 2 inches tall, and to fit on the end of your, this is actually not as good, but that's okay because it's made for this end. So what you want is open cell foam. This is closed cell foam. This is made of closed cell foam. So that's great for the shaft and for the hilt, but it doesn't work for tips because it doesn't bounce back. You want it to bounce back. And that's just like, see? So that is going to make the weapon safe. And really, I've never seen a tip that does as good as this. So this is the way I'm always going to be making them. So what you're going to do is you're going to, what I do is I don't know where I got this. I'm sorry. I have no idea. But like I found it a few years ago, and I thought, oh my gosh, I can make many weapons out of these. And so I am. But you can use couch foam. You can use that open cell camping foam. Because that white stuff that it kind of really comes back, not the blue foam. The blue foam does not work. Good for hilts, not good for tips. So open cell foam, like couch cushions. So next, I'm going to take my tip and I'm going to cut out a piece of foam that goes all the way around. So like I want to make sure that I'm not going to have a gap in between my blade and my tip. So I'm going to cut it so it basically, like this one kind of looks a little round, so I'm probably going to cut it a bit round. This one was a little square because it's the tip or the hilt, and I didn't care too much about it being round, but this I want to kind of look like a blade, so this is what I'm doing. If you can see there. So that's how I'm measuring it. It's really scientific. So moving on, I'll cut this piece out and show you what I've got. I should probably mention I'm using an X-Acto knife. It's really sharp. I got it at the dollar store. So X-Acto knife, scissors, like really sharp scissors. I'm using my sewing scissors, but shh, don't tell anyone who sews. I'm sorry, I'll buy new ones. And duct tape, of course. That's what we're using right here. But as far as the tools, I'm meaning to say is that I'm using this to cut out the foam, and I'm using scissors to cut and shape the tips and cut some of the foam. So just want to mention I'm doing this with an X-Acto knife. Okay. Okay, so I have my tip. I cut it out of this I cut a square out, almost like this big, and then I made sure I measured it, you know, make sure it was at least 2 inches long. And if you look here, it's actually more than 2 inches long, which is fine. I mean, as long as it's not really, yeah, that's fine. So there's the 2-inch mark there. And this is basically, because this is actually tapered off, the tip really is about 2 inches long, and that's how I like to make them. So I shaped it into sort of a tip, or, you know, not, it's round, but I mean, you know, it's not square. I was trying to make a tip that's not square, so it's gonna fit right in the end like that. So what I'm gonna do though is I'm gonna put a piece of plastic bag around it and then tape it at the end. This part is going to be facing outward, and this part goes on the actual blade. So that's what I'm going to do to this now, and I will show you what it looks like after. Okay, so there's our tip all wrapped up. What I'm going to do is show you, well, actually, at this point, oh right, we need to make a hilt. So yeah, we've got our tips, yay. So we're going to go grab some materials, because I don't have it out here, so I'm going to grab that stuff and then show you how to make a hilt. Because basically you want to do the taping all together, and it starts with the shaft, because you want this to be really straight and really smooth, because it is your blade, or the shaft, the blade, right? So okay, so got our tips. Now we need our hilt. We'll be back. Okay, so I now have the tips, and I've already started the hilts. Make sure when you're doing your hilt that you have enough room. This is going to be fine for me to hold and for kids to hold, but I don't know that like a big adult will be able to hold this. So make sure that when you do your hilt that it's not going to get in the way of your hand. For me, it's great. It's going to be fine. But so, if you're you got big hands, make sure you got lots of space in between here with your hilt. So I know that looks ridiculous right now. So this is actually the hilt that I'm making. It's pretty rough. I don't have a template right now, so I'm kind of doing this on the fly. And excuse the airport sound, because I'm next to an airport. I mean the plane sound. So I use camping foam, and I have a whole roll of it. And this is what I use for my hilts. So I cut out 3 pieces, as you can see, and they're not all the same size, but they should be. And then what you do is you line them up, cut the middle one in half, and then you're just gonna fit this around your sword like this. I'm gonna get my other piece, which is here, and then I'm going to tape that when I don't have a camera in my hand. And what you're going to be doing is taping the whole thing together, so you're not going to see all this. It's going to be one solid sword. If you've seen any of my swords, this is how I do it. So, hilt. I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, so here we have the hilt attached. You can see I taped it there, I taped it there, I taped it there. So all these little pieces of tape that I just used to attach the tin. Now it's pretty darn sturdy. You know, I couldn't believe that it was falling apart, you know, maybe 10 minutes ago, because that's about how long it took me to apply this. So what we're going to do next is apply the tip, or tips. I think I might tape up this first, because I think that's what I'm going to do. So I might tape up the hilt and just do that. Maybe. Alright, you know what? I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do first, but I'm going to tell you once I do it. So here's the hilt. Definitely going to do the tips. Alright. Okay, so I just want to show you what the tip looks like when you first start joining it. It's actually going to go really, really flush. This one's going to go well, I can already tell. But that's how you want it to attach at each one. And once you got it attached, you're going to want to try to make as smooth a tip as possible after that. So you don't want to use a lot of tape. So I'll show you what that looks like after. Also for the tip, I just wanted to add that you really want to cut and not rip the tape for the tip, because you don't want any of these like edges like this on your tip, or they'll start to fray really easy, and that's what makes it break down faster. So you want to cut all the pieces to make sure that when you're finished product, you're not seeing all of this ripped tape. Okay, so that's just a piece of tape. We have our tip done. Yay! So that will be nice and safe. Now we're going to be poking holes with a pin at the end of all this, so that's going to be even safer, because right now it doesn't really come back because it's covered in tape. But once we poke some holes in it for air, it will come back really nicely, and it will kind of smooth out a bit, and it will really look just like the sword you're thinking it's going to be. So yay! Alright, I'm going to do the hilt now, which keeps getting foam stuck to it. I'll do the tip on the foam, on the hilt now, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so now we have our hilt, our end tip, and our thrusting tip, which this is our waylay tip, which is the knockout tip. This way you can actually, when you're waylay someone, you hit between their shoulder blades, and it won't hurt. So yay, waylay tip, thrusting tip, or knockout tip. Okay, so we have everything attached. The next step is to do the blade. So that means I'm going to tape the blade in long strips all the way. I'm going to make sure this is all secured first, because I want it to be a beautiful, nice, like finished look. I don't want to see the end of the tape. So I'm going to make sure that this hilt is all attached in all the places I want it. And then I'm going to go ahead and tape this. And I'll show you what it looks like at the end. Or show you what it looks like when I'm done finishing taping the blade, because I'm not going to go ahead without you, don't worry. Boy, this is messy. This is what it looks like. And you saw it before, so it's getting crazier. Okay, so I have taped the blade. What I'm going to do next is just tape the rest of this right to, so you can't see any of that foam. It's all going to be the silver, because we're going to put a fancy handle, or holding, well, a handle. It's going to be a fancy handle on it, and we're going to make it so it's like a good grip. Yeah, so, and we're also going to make this hilt really nice. So first, I'm going to tape this, and I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done. Okay, so, I probably said that like 40 times now. Here is the hilt. We are done every part except for the grip. So what I'm going to do is get some hockey tape, or fabric, hockey tape. And I am going to make a hilt. I'm going to maybe explain how I do that, but first I got to go get the hockey tape, because I don't have it right on me. So I'm going to go get that and then show you how I do the hilt. Alright. Okay, so I've got my tape, and what I'm going to do is actually twist it into like a rope-like kind of, rope. So I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done. Okay, so your twisted tape should look like that. So it was electrical tape, no, not electrical tape, it was hockey tape, and now it's a rope. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to spiral it around your hilt. Let's see if I can do this. Whoops, sorry. It's okay. Oh, now I'm going to die. My camera's going to die. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly show you what I mean. No, not. So you're just going to spiral it all the way around. And you want it like fully close together. So obviously that sucks. And my camera's going to die. But I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done so you can see and do it yourself. Okay, so I thought I'd do it in front of you. What's the plastic bag? The tape. So what I do, just want to make sure you can see this. I just attach it with the first little part there. So you've got the rest to make sure it's nice and twisty. Like Mr. Twisty. My friend does a Mr. Twisty's Funhouse, so I'm going to mention it now. Hey, Kevin. And maybe you can hear an airplane too. That's a bonus for you. Yay! Offer weapon making and an airport. So this is the grip. So I'm just gonna take this in a diagonal, making sure it stays twisted. All the way down. Okay. And then I'm just going to secure that with my second piece of tape, and that's going to go all the way around it. I'm just going to get that ready and then film it for you. Okay, so back. And I have my so I have my tape already, and I'm going to affix this, because I don't get to use that word very often, so I'm affixing it. Oh, I lost my diagonal. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, although I'm pretty sure this sword does not reflect that, but yeah, it has to be diagonal. Okay, so I've got back to my diagonal, and what I'm going to do is just tape it, just like this, all the way. Make sure it's nice and secure. So I noticed that that wasn't really secure there. See, this is hanging out. Oh, you can't see, sorry. This is hanging out. I don't like that. So I'm just going to bring it right around. Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. So, and I'm just going to keep going. Sorry. All the way around. And this is literally the last part of our weapon. Oops, sorry, you can't see that. And then I'm just going to cut it off and show you the finished part. Okay, well, here we have our finished weapon. Sorry, that's not going to help you. And just flip it over. I don't know how long it took me because I was filming, and I've never done this while filming before. But it is a safe Boffer weapon, and it took me probably collectively under 2 hours, maybe a little longer. But yeah, not very long, really easy, step by step. We went through it. Here we go. Happy LARPing. One more thing, and you can't forget, so not happy LARPing yet, you've got to poke holes in your closed cell phone tips. So, I can't do this. Well, you know what? Maybe I'll try to do it on camera. Okay. So you just want to take, this has actually got like all kinds of goo on it from other tape things, other weapons. So here we go. We're just gonna randomly pop this thing full of holes. And you know you're done when it's bent. Jeez. No, but when you go to do this and it pops right back fast. Okay, so I'm gonna do a little more. Sorry, it's so blurry. Okay, so we have a nice and fast bounce back on both tips. Now happy LARPing. Yay, we did it. Okay, bye.